Assalamu alaikum. Today on Nuran Academy, we discuss the decline and potential revival of Muslim leadership. If you benefit, please support by subscribing and sharing as a sadaqah.
This is a question that I think so many of us feel, and feel really deeply, right? It's the kind of thing that's whispered in classrooms, it's debated online, it's this silent weight we all seem to carry. But I want to be clear from the start. This explainer isn't about assigning blame or just getting stuck in the past. It's about really understanding what went wrong so that together we can start to build a real roadmap for the future.
Okay, so to find any kind of solution, you first need an honest diagnosis, right? We have to take a really clear look at the historical shift that happened, not to feel bad about it, but to actually learn from it. So let's break it down. What were the actual symptoms of this decline?
Now, as we look at these points, it's so important to get one thing straight. This wasn't about a loss of intelligence. The community didn't just suddenly become less capable or less smart. No, something much more fundamental shifted. You see, knowledge, which was once all about deep understanding and actually using what you learned, well, it started to become more about just memorizing things. The great institutions that were the bedrock of innovation and character, they began to weaken. And when that happened, the discipline and the sincerity that kind of held the whole thing together, they started to fracture.
And here's the absolute core of the issue. It was a loss of alignment. Think about it. A huge disconnect started to grow between what people knew and what they actually did. A gap opened up between the rituals of worship and the simple act of trying to be excellent in your daily life. And faith, which was once this incredible engine for taking responsibility in the world, it got put in a box, totally separate from everything else. This internal mismatch, that was the real root of the problem.
You know what's incredible? Is that centuries ago, the brilliant thinker Ibn Khaldun diagnosed this exact process. He pointed out that civilizations don't just collapse overnight. It's not some big, sudden event. No, they fall gradually. When that sense of purpose starts to fade, when comfort takes the place of struggle, and when people start sacrificing their ethics just to get status and worldly stuff. His wisdom really shows us that this was a slow internal erosion, not some big, sudden defeat from the outside.
And this brings us to a really critical distinction. It is absolutely essential to understand that what was lost was not Islam itself. The fuel, the Quran and the Sunnah, that remained and remains, completely pure and preserved. What we lost was the mindset. Think of it like this. The fuel was perfect, but we lost the engine, the very thing that takes that divine fuel and turns it into progress, into real, meaningful action that makes the world a better place. And this comparison really shows that shift from a working engine to a stalled one. On one side, you had the original vision. Knowledge wasn't just stuff to learn, it was a sacred obligation you had to master. But then, on the other side, it stalled. It became a race for paper credentials without any real competence. Leadership, which was once this heavy responsibility of service, turned into a chase for titles, even if it meant sacrificing the truth. And maybe saddest of all, excellence in your work, which was seen as a beautiful form of worship, got replaced by just focusing on ritual, completely disconnected from your responsibility to the world. The engine just stalled out.
Okay, but this is where the whole story pivots. This is where we get to the hope. Because if an engine just stalls, what does that mean? It means it can be restarted. Revival isn't about daydreaming and trying to perfectly copy the past. That's just nostalgia. Real revival is construction. It's about actively building, right here, right now, with the very tools we already have.
And the incredible thing is, the core ingredients we need for this construction, they're all still here. The Quran and the Sunnah are perfectly preserved. And the human elements, the curiosity to learn, the work ethic to actually build something, and the sense of purpose to serve a higher cause, those are timeless. We can cultivate them right now. And if something rose once, it can absolutely rise again.
So what does this construction actually look like in the 21st century? Well, it looks like students who don't see any conflict between science and faith, but instead master both of them with total integrity. It's engineers who are building our future on a foundation of unshakable ethics. It's doctors who see their work not just as a job, but as a direct act of mercy. It's teachers who know deep down that they're not just teaching subjects, they are shaping the character of an entire generation. And it's entrepreneurs who are driven to solve the real, tough problems facing humanity. See, every single one of them is a builder. This isn't about shouting about history. It's about continuing it.
And so this is a part where the big historical lesson becomes a very personal one. This is a direct message to every single person watching, especially the youth. This is about you. Now, this is your turn to build. Just let that sink in for a second. You have not missed the Golden Age. You are not some kind of afterthought in history.
Allah, in His infinite wisdom, placed you in this specific time, in this specific place, for a reason. It was not a mistake. Your existence, right here and right now, is by divine decree. You are here on purpose. You don't need to ask for permission from anyone to start excelling, but you do need discipline. The truth is, we don't need more loud voices. What we need are stronger, more meaningful actions.
And this is it. This is the missing link, the key that unlocks all of that potential. It's all about reconnecting knowledge and worship. See, when you pursue knowledge without the humility that comes from worship, it just turns into arrogance. And on the flip side, when you practice worship without knowledge, it can lead to weakness and stagnation. The absolute genius of the Islamic tradition is that it never, ever separated these two.
So real leadership, then, it isn't about a title. It's not about a position you hold. It starts with asking yourself a deeply personal and profound question. What am I building for Allah and for humanity? What is my contribution? That question, that's the foundation of a truly purpose-driven life.
And so we end up right back where we began, but this time, the question is turned directly towards you. The generations before us, they healed the sick, they mapped the skies, they built incredible universities. Not because they were some different kind of human, but simply because they were committed to their purpose. Their legacy is the ultimate proof of what's possible. And now, that question rests entirely in your hands.
Presented and created by Neuron Studio.